Welcome everybody to another thrilling, exciting, and eye-roll-inducing episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me along with my pal and the world's largest collector of used Jimmy John straws. It is Steven Robles. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I don't know if that. I thought you were gonna say toenails. You know, like collection of toenails in jars. That's ugh. But used Jimmy John straws. Wow.
Used Jimmy John straws. Yeah.
That might be worse. I don't know.
I feel like it's not.
Yeah, I guess it depends if you're collecting your own toenails or. I don't want to talk about this anymore, Andrew. This is disgusting.
Why are you bringing toenails into this? This is you took this real weird, real fast.
I don't know what just happened, Andrew. I'm fired up. I'm fired up because there's a lot of HomeKit news, which is exciting. But then also, I don't know if you saw the link I put in there. Someone was knocking on HomeKit Secure Video, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get to that and just comment. That I couldn't think of a stronger word. I'm going to do more than comment. I'm going to rant about that a little bit. So anyway, let's get to it, man, because iOS 15.6 came out, plus iPad, macOS 12.5, plus tvOS and HomePod, which I still don't know. I guess HomePod is still just iOS. That's the name, right? Like there's no HomePod OS.
No, they call it HomePod Software Update 15.6.
Right.
They call it HomePod Software Update. That's the official name so far.
I took a screenshot. You can barely see it, but yeah, it's HomePod version 15.6. I don't even know. Apple, just release Home OS. Stop beating around the bush. But anyway, there's a bunch of new languages now for HomePod. I believe you got Japanese, Cantonese, and Mandarin. And then also it was discovered, it wasn't mentioned, I guess, in the release notes, but also Swedish and Norwegian. And so that alludes to the fact that maybe HomePod Mini will be coming to those countries very soon. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. That's cool.
Absolutely.
That was it. That was pretty much it, right? I mean, everything else was just bug fixes and performance improvements.
Everything else is security updates, all that normal stuff. It won't be in there. It'll be in 15 or at 16. But move on to the next topic.
Let's move on because we got other things to rant about. Okay, Ring privacy issues. You put a couple articles in here. I thought this is hilarious. This is hilarious. So there was a Senator, Ed Markey, a Democrat from Massachusetts. He said that Ring cameras, specifically the doorbell cameras, were capturing significant amounts of audio on private and public property adjacent to dwellings with Ring doorbells. So basically these Ring doorbells, the microphones are, I guess, sensitive enough where they're picking up conversations houses away or, a distance from the actual house it's installed on. And the senator wrote a letter to Amazon and saying, this is probably a security implication. Can we limit the amount of recordings that these Ring doorbells are taking? And Amazon was like, nah, we're just going to keep recording everything. And sorry. And it's like, okay, is that what you got from these things?
That was literally it. They basically said, "Nah, we're cool." They claimed that, like, the senator didn't even want any fundamental changes to what Ring is doing. He was proposing that they add a security toggle of sorts that would allow you more control over this data that you're collecting. And they're like, no, settings would be too confusing for our audience, so we're not going to do that. That's what it amounted to. Just not good.
And this, comes on the heels, I think it was a few weeks ago, talked about how some voice recordings from Echo devices were, being used for advertising information. And it's like, if you're having a conversation around a corner, maybe you're a secret agent. I don't know, whatever that might be.
Sure.
And a Ring doorbell literally around the corner might be recording that conversation. I guess the microphone is powerful enough to do that. That's some serious security implications. And if there's not some kind of, I don't know if regulation's the right word, but if there's not good protection on where those recordings go and what is being recorded, that seems like a huge breach. I mean, yeah, it boggles my mind. And the reason why this got me worked up, because Amazon is doing this, senators are writing letters, Amazon's like, nah, we're not listening to you. And then I saw this article. This was sent in a tweet. Ken Driscoll on Twitter sent me this. It's actually a Wirecutter article. Wirecutter is now owned by the New York Times. If you're not familiar, Wirecutter reviews products and all that. And so they had this article that talked about HomeKit Secure Video. And basically, let me read the exact title because I don't want to put words in Wirecutter's mouth. The exact headline, this was published July 15th. This is a recent article. It says, "Why We Don't Trust Apple's HomeKit Secure Video and You Shouldn't Either." That's the headline for this New York Times Wirecutter article. Why we don't trust Apple's HomeKit Secure Video. And I was like, okay, well, let me read. Let me read in depth. First of all, so I'm getting a little worked up here. First of all, the Wirecutter tested 3 different cameras for HomeKit Secure Video. And again, if our listeners remember, HomeKit Secure Video is the recording that's managed in the iCloud. It doesn't have to go through a manufacturer's app and cloud service. You know, this is why you can get a Logitech Circle View camera and you don't even use an app. You know, it just goes to the Home app and then to iCloud. So anyway, the cameras they tested were 2 Eufy cameras and an Aqara camera. Now, I don't know about you, Andrew, but when I think of HomeKit Secure Video, I had to look up to see if those cameras even have it. And to me, it was unclear. There's one Eufy camera that I know has HomeKit Secure Video, but they also tested one of the outdoor cameras that uses a hub, which typically HomeKit Secure Video can't work with hub-based cameras. And so I was like, I'm not even sure if they're talking about HomeKit Secure Video or if it's just regular HomeKit Video. And they didn't test what, in my opinion, are kind of like the biggest names in HomeKit Secure Video, which are the Logitech Circle View cameras, the doorbell, and the Netatmo cameras, and the Eve camera is another one that uses HomeKit Secure Video. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'll let you talk in a second. I'm going to rant just a second more. So I'm not even sure they tested the best cameras they could have in this article. But then their negatives for HomeKit Secure Video. Again, the title of the article was "We Don't Trust HomeKit Secure Video, You Shouldn't Either." Like as though there is some privacy and security implication when it comes to HomeKit Secure Video. Remember, we just talked about Amazon recording all these conversations, senators writing them letters. So, okay, here were their negatives on HomeKit Secure Video. It limits compatibility, meaning it won't work with Alexa and Google Home devices. Duh. It's Apple's HomeKit. It works with iCloud. Okay, fine. Reduces video quality. Semi-reasonable. You know, you can get 2K cameras from Arlo and Eufy, but HomeKit Secure Video downgrades to 1080p. I'll give them the video quality. I don't think that really makes the "we don't trust HomeKit Secure Video." I don't think that warrants that trust headline. But anyway, motion fine-tuning. They had problems with you can't like fine-tune activity zones like you can with other things. You've talked about Arlo cameras have more features or whatever. Like that's a feature thing. Fine, whatever. Again, I don't think that speaks to trusting HomeKit Secure Video. You lose features like two-way audio from certain cameras, like the Eufy. You can't speak through it through the Home app. Fine. Again, feature, not necessarily security or privacy. It requires a hub, which I think is a hilarious negative because they used cameras that require hubs. The Eufy cameras required a hub, and the Aqara camera is literally a hub, but we won't go there. They're basically saying you have to use a HomePod Mini or Apple TV or whatever. And it says there's some Wi-Fi range issues with HomeKit Secure Video cameras, which again, I feel like they tested 2 cameras that don't really fit this description very well. So anyway, all of that, and then they said so you can't trust that it records all the time, which again, I can admit sometimes it doesn't record some motion, but honestly with my Logitech cameras, I find that they are very secure in their recording, meaning they record often and all motion. And so anyway, bottom line, I feel like this headline is grossly exaggerated and misleading to say you can't trust HomeKit Secure Video, whereas as we have spoken many times, when it comes to privacy and security, HomeKit Secure Video is probably the #1 option out there, and especially when you just talked about the Ring recording random conversations, and Emma's like, no, we're not going to stop doing that. I think this headline is ridiculous. My rant over. What do you think about this, Andrew?
Okay.
I was worked up. I was worked up.
There is several factual inaccuracies in this that drive me crazy. So
I need a drink.
Immediately when it like limits compatibility, that's like we just talked about, that's literally the goal. Like literally to protect your video and stop it from using these other services that straight up have to send like everything through their servers and their clouds for your stuff. So sure, but it's It's more secure, more trustworthy, if you will, would be another word I guess I would use
Which
to
you also
describe
can't
it.
you can't use a Ring doorbell camera in the Apple Home app. So you could also argue there's not compatibility there. You can't use a Ring in Google's Home app. So I don't understand how this is a negative for Apple. But anyway.
My Ring cameras wouldn't show up on my Apple TV, so I can't trust the Ring cameras. So, okay, moving on to that one. Next point, reduces video quality. We've talked about this, totally agree. Yes, it does reduce video quality if you're buying a 2K camera and HSV is in 1080. If you're buying a 1080 camera and it's still in 1080, it's not reducing video quality. It would depend on the camera that you're buying, but we have said that we definitely want higher resolution in HSV, so okay. I'll put an asterisk next to it because I do want higher resolution, but you're buying a high resolution camera that it specifically doesn't support. Moving on to can't fine-tune motion detection. Okay, here's the thing with this one. There are the activity zones, which it says you can create, but it says you lose features. For example, Eufy Security app includes the option to adjust motion detection sensitivity, which is crucial to allowing you to see nuisance alerts, to limit nuisance alerts. However, using HSV disables this important feature. Okay, Eufy did this. This is Eufy. If we look at other HSV cameras, like the Eve Cam, you straight up can control the sensitivity. Like, that's an option that HomeKit Secure Video allows, and Eufy has decided to disable this feature. The same goes for you might lose app features because you lose two-way communication. Also Eufy. That is a feature in HSV that works with other HSV cameras. Of course you can do that with the Eve Cam, the doorbell cams, like your Logic Circle, Circle door. Like, yeah. Of course, of course. So that's like literally, again, Eufy, and they're blaming this all on HSV. Like, it's very frustrating. They're just blatantly like, slandering HSV as it's so much more secure and everything else in these other ones, and they're putting these manufacturer mistakes and decisions on HSV and testing. I'm not going to say like bad cameras, but they're clearly not like flagship HSV cameras. I don't know anybody who owns a Eufy cam. I know there's some people in our audience that do have some Eufy cams, but it's not a particularly large brand in the market. You have more of the Eve stuff, more of the Arlo stuff, which doesn't support HSV, but it's still like more widely used than Eufy.
Yeah.
So I was just surprised that was their. If we're going to test and give you a verdict on HSV, this is what we're choosing to test with. So I had many issues here. Also, not to like try to retread what we were going on, but you also skipped the second article on Ring because there's also a whole other thing about Ring has given the police like 10 videos so far, I believe this year, without any sort of warrant or anything else. And in fact, they actually have a literal form that a police can go through and check a box that says, this is an emergency. We need the data this second. And collect that data from your home's cameras without notifying you, without getting a warrant.
Wow.
Anything like that. It's literally just a form and a checkbox that they can do to get your videos. So another thing that just makes me not want to recommend Ring. It doesn't get better each episode. Apparently it's just a Ring bashing insider.
That's crazy. Well, I totally missed that. So yeah, this is a Verge article. And there's even a link to the form where you can submit an emergency request. This is Amazon Law Enforcement Request Tracker. And yeah, they can 11 times they have gotten video from Ring devices without the customer whose Ring camera it is giving permission or ever being notified. That is crazy. And also,
or providing a warrant to Amazon for the video in the first place.
Right. Back to your point too. I looked to see the two-way talk, and so this is my Logitech Circle View doorbell, and there's the talk button right there. You can use that to talk back through HomeKit Secure Video, and yeah, this is wow. Anyway, Andrew, I think they need to have on. We need to be consultants for these things. Listen, before you post an article about HomeKit Secure Video, check with the HomeKit Insiders, okay? Because I don't know, I just got worked up. Ken Driscoll, thank you for sending that on Twitter.
I guess that's more libelous, right? Slanderous is saying libel is written. Is that it? Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay, so I take it back. Now. It's not slanderous, it's libelous. It's
libelous.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to calm down a little bit, man. That got me worked up. That was fun.
Can you, Steven?
Well, I don't know. We still got more Amazon stuff to talk about. So let's go. But this is more. The next one is Amazon Prime Video. This is a good one though. We've talked bad about Amazon enough. This is Amazon is updating their Prime Video app for Apple TV, and it's actually going to be good. I think looks good.
I didn't hate it before, but my problem was with the Prime Video app was that it did like obfuscate what was like a free included video thing versus the like something that you had to purchase to stream. So stuff like that was kind of confusing, and they would just have random parts that were included with your bundle, and then another one like recommended videos, and then like, wait, am I buying these, or are these like, are you recommending them because I can watch them, or are you recommending them because like I watched Bad Boys and now you think I want to watch Shrek? Like whatever the connection is, I don't know, but that part was not, and it didn't look like super new. It definitely looked a bit dated with very blocky aesthetics. The new one, it looks much more streamlined. I like the look of it. It should be out for pretty much everyone by the time you all are listening or watching this. So go check it out if you haven't opened the Prime app in a bit on your Apple TV.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, because I was watching the new Chris Pratt show, the something list. It's one of his. It's like a thriller. It's like a government agent military thriller. Anyway, but the Amazon Prime app would like constantly forget what episode I was on. I actually like clicked watch next episode from Apple's up next Apple TV screen, and it jumped like it skipped an episode. And so like I was watching the recap, and I was like, I haven't seen any of this, and I had to like jump back in the Prime Video app and be like, oh no, I didn't like. It totally showed me a recap for an episode I didn't see yet. So yeah, I'm hoping it solves some of that. So that would be good. Also, Amazon actually had their Alexa Live developer like conference or event last week, as you watch and listen to this, and they talked about Matter, kind of like Apple talked about Matter, not like super specific, but they did say a couple things that they're building something called a Live Developer Kit, a ambient home dev kit that they're making available to developers for Matter support for smart home devices, trying to work into this like more automated home where you won't even have to like say commands. They use this example in their presentation about rather than saying I'm leaving to trigger a home scene, that maybe your home will just know either by presence sensors or motion, trying to be more proactive in the smart home. Again, with the whole Ring stuff, like maybe I don't want Amazon to be more proactive. Maybe like don't do things without me knowing. But with Matter, this is just another, like, hopefully Matter is coming soon kind of thing. Amazon's talking about it, which is good because previously Amazon was like launching light switches and didn't even mention Matter, not even supporting Matter. So I guess this is more positive motion for Matter. Something. I don't know. Andrew doesn't care about it. He did nothing. It was like, meh. All right, well, what's the other? Yeah, well, we'll talk about Matter too when we get to the thread update. But let's talk about something fun because Eve actually launched a new product. There's a brand new Eve Motion.
Too.
Oh, got thoughts on this? Okay, well, wonderful. This is a new Eve Motion sensor. And what's awesome is redesigned. There's a lower price, has thread support, and includes a light sensor, which is really cool. I had Eve's motion sensor, the previous model, and it was like pretty big, and the little like motion plastic part would sometimes get a little pushed in. So I'm looking forward to this redesigned motion sensor. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, I am very torn about this. Okay. So here's the good, right? Vastly overdue. Like, I don't know if they ever actually introduced a second generation Eve Motion. I think this is like the OG Eve Motion that they launched with the original batch of products for home years old.
Yeah.
Still have mine. Still working. No issues with that. But yes, it is bulky. Like the thing is like the size of like an Ecobee thermostat in terms of like height and width, but like two of them stacked together in terms of thickness. And it would run on double A batteries, and they needed a new one. They needed a new one for a lot of reasons. It just looked older. The price was very expensive. I'm pretty sure it was like $70, $80 maybe for that original motion sensor, so super pricey.
Yeah, it was expensive.
And didn't have thread support, obviously, so it didn't have thread. So like that was a big thing as we were moving into more devices having thread. Steven just went completely dark. He is now...
I was trying to get ready to talk about another Eve thing, which is the Eve button, and I have my studio automations, and I accidentally clicked the button.
Okay.
So now I gotta wait now. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, my automation is running right now for I'm done recording, which turns off all my studio lights. It opens my Eve motion blind. So anyway, we'll talk about it anyway. I'm gonna press it one more time. Let's see if it actually goes back to the setting it's supposed to. Oh, look at that.
Anyway,
there it is.
Okay. Anyway,
I
we
won't
need a
touch it.
thread.
I won't
Thread's
touch it till we
much
get to that
quicker than
segment.
the Bluetooth that we had in the past. Bluetooth commands have gotten better with HomeKit, but they still are not room. So thread, we really needed this. All of these things are good. So they have brought the price down. It has a new design. It has thread. It has additional sensors like the Lux light sensor inside of it. And maybe best of all, second best of all, it has an IPX3 water resistance rating, meaning you can put this outside. Our second ever HomeKit outdoor motion detector that you can use to trigger your lights. Second ever, only second to the Philips Hue outdoor one that of course requires a bridge and all that. It's a good option, but it's more expensive, I believe. This is fantastic. A lot of great things here, but there's problems. I got problems. I don't like the design. I know you wrote it here in the notes. Yeah, I said the exact same thing to Eve when they sent the PR. I'm like, are you sure you didn't just paste the Hue one on here? Because I'm pretty sure this is what I have in my kitchen right now. It looks identical, small little white square with the Lux sensor in the center, and then the motion sensor just above that. It is very, very similar. So I personally would have preferred them sticking with their more current design aesthetics that we're looking at with the Eve Degree, even the Eve Button, the Eve Room 2 or 3 or whatever they're on. But all of those have like the metal body with black, and I think they blend in very well. They say that the white blends in better into your home, so that's why they went with the white look again. I also don't like that it's AA batteries. I would have preferred like USB-C charging. You give me a couple months or something and I can charge it up. I hate having to have batteries around. I know it has a good battery life, but still I just hate having to rely on batteries and you're throwing them away and all that. So to me that was a bit of a downside. Like you could even plug in just with USB-C and leave it perpetually plugged in, but you don't have that option when running on batteries. Yeah, so those are my biggest downsides. They say that the whole point of this was motion detection is crucial to the smart home. It's very important to automation, and their previous price point was very cost prohibitive to getting it in people's homes. So by going with a plastic body, by going with the double or AAA batteries, stuff like that, they're able to keep the price point down a lot more and make it more affordable for more people. I totally get that. It just went in a different way than I had expected for this product. When I imagined what a new Hue motion sensor would look like, this wasn't it. I like the sensors and the thread and all of that, but $40. So it's definitely more affordable, but I'm torn on my thoughts.
$40. It's more affordable, and honestly, I missed the water resistance at first, and so now that you said that, and now I'm thinking, outside, I have my new pool area. It would be amazing if lights could just turn on when I walk outside, and yeah. So anyway,
Nice.
I've returned to the routine of buying things on the show, and so I just bought one as you were talking, and so it's coming early August. But I will say I agree with the battery thing. It uses 2 AAA batteries,
Coin cells, yeah.
which maybe I'm glad it's AAA instead of like the 2032 round circles, because I feel like there's a greater chance I'll have a AAA around than the coin ones. But I will say I find with all these little remotes and devices, when the battery runs out, I just don't change it. Like I kind of stop using it. Like I have my Wemo stage controller with the 3 buttons, which I like. For some reason, the battery drains really fast on that, at least in the one I have. And so I just stopped changing it. Like I just don't change it. And it uses one of those coin cell batteries, and it's like, do I want to order 6 more from Amazon for 10? Like I just don't know. And so I'm with you. I would have preferred a rechargeable style battery. But we'll see how it is. I'm gonna get one, and yeah, we'll see. Maybe that thread it'll be better. So anyway, maybe talk about the Eve thing. No, I'll wait for the Eve button. Okay, so Thread 1.3 update. So Thread has been updated to 1.3.
That's what I was just going to say. Was
in the HomePod update.
I don't think this is in there.
The iOS 15.6 for like HomePod Mini.
This was just released officially, version 1.3.0.
Oh, it's not in there. Okay,
I don't think, because the headlining feature here is Matter support, and this is like paving the road for Matter. So my guess was that this is going to arrive in 16, HomePod 16,
right?
And I'm actively working on looking at my Thread network and trying to actually watch for this to kind of see when it shows up in Apple's devices, in HomePod Mini and Apple TV. They don't mention anything. Thread doesn't like have a specific version number that they like, badge products with like Bluetooth does. So there's no like easy way to tell when devices have been updated with this, unless the manufacturer is calling it out in like release notes. And I don't believe Apple is mentioning that either. But considering the biggest feature is Matter, I'm expecting this with HomePod 16. But there are some other nice changes here too that we can talk about. I don't know if you wanted me to go into these. I don't know how much you knew about the update.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so, well, I'll say just the broad part of the update is that this is when Thread will be cross-manufacturer devices. And so when there's devices running Thread 1.3, like a HomePod Mini, that it can then be on the same Thread network and communicate to a Nest hub or like a Google hub. Well, I guess the Google is the Nest. I'm sorry, the Echoes. So if you have an Echo device or a Nest device and they're all on Thread 1.3, they will actually all communicate on the same network.
Yeah, so that is a big one, and it actually addresses a question that somebody else had about a week ago that they asked us about, which was that the Ecobee devices and Thread support and not playing nice with HomeKit. And this is exactly the reason why. So basically, pre-version 1.3 of Thread, devices created like their own Thread networks. There wasn't a fully standardized bit for the border routers and the routers, and they didn't like 100% play nice. So like Apple's HomePod Mini as routers would do stuff different as like the Ecobee routers, and they just wouldn't be on the same network. Now with this update, they've standardized everything for these routers, and they will be on the same exact network, which means we should see broader range for many devices, because your things like your Ecobee should be able to extend your HomeKit networks without any issues at all. It also allows to connect like your IP with your IP network, like your home internet network, with Matter devices. So they've really copied a lot from HomeKit here on how like HomeKit devices are discoverable, and now this is going to work with additional devices so that you'll be able to like go to set up a Matter device and it'll just be viewable like on your network to Matter devices that are trying to add it. So some things there. They've simplified in-field firmware updates, which is also a thing. Yeah, I think those are the biggest ones. It's a little confusing, but the biggest thing I think for HomeKit users, Matter support is officially here. Standardized the bridges or routers so that everything should play nice between manufacturers. easier firmware updates for devices, and the ability to discover these devices on your network by other Matter devices. So lots of fun things here. Really nice update for Thread, and yeah, I believe it's actually out, and they're going to be partners, Apple, Google, everyone will be rolling it out to devices soon.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think it speaks to Matter coming soon, getting closer. I still think Matter, I'll believe it when I see it, trademark. But we'll see. We'll see maybe this fall. Maybe this is it. You know, there's a lot of dust up. You know, Amazon's talking about it at the dev kit, Thread 1.3, which Matter is built on. So we'll see. Hopefully soon. All right. So some personal projects got going on. The thing I was messing with before was the Eve button. If you're watching on YouTube, there it is. And I got this because I have so many automations running. I've created many scenes for the studio here, for around the house. And I wanted some more physical controls. Like I said, I have the stage controller, which I was trying to leave in the living room. I literally have no idea where it is right now. I think the kids were using it. Now it's gone forever. But I'm keeping this one in the studio, which is the Eve button, and really like it. You have 3 different commands on the Eve button: single press, double press, and a long press. And you saw, if you were watching on YouTube, I set one of those scenes as I was trying to take off the battery cover. There was a firmware update that Caleb Alexander, he talked about the Eve button a long time ago, but he let me know there's an update, which was helpful because it was actually triggering whatever the last command was that I had done with the Eve button. It would kind of like do that the first time you activated it to press it again. So like my studio would do like weird things, and I didn't know what was going on. And that was a firmware update. It was available in the Eve app. Did that, and it is more responsive now, and it fixed that issue. He was asking about the battery cover because he had an issue where the battery connector inside was pretty janky and was causing issues with his Eve button. And he wanted to know if it had been updated. And so what I've been doing since we started talking about Thread was trying to get the battery cover off. That's when I inadvertently triggered an automation, and I still cannot get it off. I cannot get the battery cover off to answer Caleb to see if the connector is any different. So I will work on that for next week. I will try to get this battery cover off. I have so many tools here. I've been trying different things. I don't know what. Okay, is it a security issue to show your HomeKit codes publicly?
Tried to avoid it. From my understanding, is it if somebody had it, they wouldn't be able to do anything unless they were on your home network and tried to repair the device. But it'd have to be like removed from your network before it could even be added to somebody else's. So not really. But it is the private code that would allow the device to be set up if they got everything else.
Okay, well, I'm going to cover it with my finger. So this is the battery cover, and there's like a little tiny lip there.
Can't even see it.
You can't even see it on camera, I think, because it's too dark.
Oh, I see it.
There's a little... There we go. Can you see it now? There's like a little... There it is. A little tiny slit there. You're supposed to like pry it open. It doesn't turn. It's supposed to just be like you put a nail in there and pull it out. And I've been trying to do that, but my nails are gonna like break before this thing opens. So I've been trying to put an SD card in the little slot. It didn't open. I tried this little tool. That didn't open.
For sure.
Try to open things with an SD card.
Built my deck
so
with an SD
I can't
card.
get it open. So anyway, I don't know. I'll try some pliers, I guess. That's pretty good. Let's put it right in the drill. She uses a drill bit. Sander. So I guess I need to get a knife, like a butter knife or something. So anyway, I'll try that for next time. I'll follow up.
A dime.
I think a penny's too big.
Smaller.
It's too thick.
I don't know.
Because I was trying. Yeah, dime, I guess. I don't know. I was looking through my drawer. I have all this junk in this drawer, but nothing thin enough to get it. So anyway, I'll try a butter knife next time. I was going to try a lightning connector, but then I'm like, it'll probably ruin the lightning connector. That doesn't even fit in there. Anyway, I'll do it for next time. I'll get a butter knife. I'll do it live on the show next time. All right. But anyway, like the button. Button is cool. I like being able to trigger stuff from the button. I might get one more for just for good measure. And I think it is.
No.
Is the Eve button
so
thread?
Here we'll come back to the thread part.
Eve button.
Talk to me about why you chose another Eve button versus the Wemo? Is it just the battery life as the sole reason?
I found the Wemo one, it was slow to respond at times and sometimes would not respond. And I know it's Thread and it's supposed to be better. I don't know. I was trying to use it with some living room automations, and some of those automations included like the Logitech Harmony stuff. And so like those things, probably the Logitech Harmony third-party stuff. So I wanted to try a different physical control to see if it was any better. And now that I have both, I will honestly say I think the Eve button is more consistent in triggering the automations than the Wemo Stage Controller. I like the Stage Controller because you got more options. You can program like 6 different things, a single press on each button and then a long press. But I think I actually prefer the Eve button.
So the reason why is because we had talked about the Eve button a while ago. And the thing that was happening was the issue with HomeKit and how they were processing Bluetooth button commands. And it was like errantly triggering things, and like I had stuff like being controlled that was like, turns out it was like actually related to my Eve button. And the main thing was like that we got from kind of Apple and Eve was that a Thread version of the button would solve these issues. But the way that HomeKit is currently processing Bluetooth commands is it can still basically something gets stuck in like the HomeKit backlog and then just errantly runs when it shouldn't. And that was driving me crazy because I could be sitting there and all of a sudden like the lights would change. And then since I had changed, like removed the commands from my Eve button, this has stopped happening. So good.
Well, and that was happening to me when I first set it up. And then Caleb mentioned that firmware update. After I've updated the firmware, which was a recent, I think it just came out recently, like in the last couple of weeks, the button has not been doing that. It has not been doing the random, changes. So maybe try that firmware update.
When we had talked to Eve, they were very clear. Like, there's not specifically like a new Eve button coming, so don't expect like something like that to be imminent. Other than like Eve promising that they are transitioning everything they can to Thread at some point in the future. But they're like, this is a fundamental thing with HomeKit that cannot be changed, and this is going to happen until a Thread button is released or HomeKit changes like Bluetooth commands, which isn't changing either. So unless they came up with some solution, a workaround, I think this is still a thing, which is what would make me hesitant to buy another Eve button right now.
Well, I will keep an eye on it. I mean, I'm using it every day because I have my main studio automations on here, and I'll see. I'll observe for the next week using it regularly, and we'll report back again. But
that's
good.
I've
been liking it, so we'll see. I'll report back. Last couple things I want to talk about Sonos because I finally bit the bullet. I've been waiting for that smaller Sonos subwoofer to launch. It's rumored it was supposed to come this summer. It was going to be much cheaper, like $200-something bucks, and I was tired of waiting because we've been watching more movies with the TV that has the Sonos Arc on it, and so I was like, I'm gonna do it. The subwoofer was like out of stock in many places, and it finally came in stock at a Best Buy near me, like pick up same day, and I was like, I'm gonna go get it. And so I spent the $18 billion on the Sonos sub, and it sounds amazing, as you know. It's one of the best subwoofers. Like, it really is super tight, very accurate. And I did have to turn off my 5 gigahertz side of the Wi-Fi to set it up. It was not setting up properly at first, so disabled 5G Wi-Fi, set it up, re-enabled 5G, and it's been fine. But did that, and it really does. We've said it on the show before, but I can now say from personal experience, it does make a huge difference using the Arc with a subwoofer and using the Arc without the subwoofer. Me and my family, we've been watching Star Wars. We've been introducing the kids to like the entire series. We've watched like 5 Star Wars movies in the last couple weeks, and we've been watching them with just the Arc. and all the dialogue was like kind of muffled and like, it's probably because it's trying to do all the frequencies. And so after I got the sub, makes a big difference. Big difference. Sounds really good. The Dolby Atmos is actually really good too. It's in our living room, which has some higher ceilings. It still does a great job of bouncing stuff off, and stuff sounds like it's behind you and moving in the room. And then Veritas_2016 on Twitter let me know that there was actually an update to the Sonos system this last week as you listen to this or watch it. And it was actually specifically for the Arc and home theater Sonos systems, where it was to bring up the clarity of dialogue and fine-tune that specifically for the Arc. So did that update, and yeah, it's really good. Like a Sonos Arc and a subwoofer together, like you're literally talking about $1,600, I think, together. But if you add up buying 7.1 surround speakers and a receiver, you are in the ballpark, depending on the quality of speakers you're getting. And so I will say for a home theater sound, the Arc and Sonos subwoofer is really good. And you can pair the subwoofer with the Beam or the Ray, which I know you reviewed recently, want to hear about that. But if someone's been waiting to buy a subwoofer, I don't know if you have any information on this, but that cheaper subwoofer from Sonos is supposed to come out. Like, it's supposed to be soon. But I just haven't heard anything recently. So
yeah, so I did just
that?
review the Ray, which is their cheapest subwoofer. So you got the Beam in the middle, you got the Arc. The little one should be called the Bark, but it's not. It's called the Ray, and Bark. But it's called the Ray, and it does a really good job. It is a solid sounding speaker, still Sonos, but especially like when I reviewed them, like it's missing like the bass, it's missing that depth, and your only option right now with Sonos is to drop $6-9 whatever billion on the sub. I think is it $7? Is it $6.99? Or am I off? Sorry. $7.49. You can't spend like a few $100, $200-$300 on a Ray and then drop 3 times that on a subwoofer. Like it's not feasible for anybody to do that. And you need you need a cheaper option from Sonos. And this other one has been purported to be coming for a long time now. We have seen like straight up renders and leaked FCC documentation. It's imminent. My opinion is that they were hit with some sort of delay, whether it was manufacturing delays, chip shortages, something along those lines. And I would have thought they would have released it alongside the Ray as a companion product. They go well together. That should have been a perfect combo, and they were mum. And so that makes me think it was supposed to come out with the Ray, and then it just didn't. So I don't know. I don't know why it didn't come out, but that's what I think is happening. I just can't figure spending $750 just for bass. And the Arc still sounds really, really good without the subwoofer. Like I was just playing like an underwater game yesterday with my friend called Subnautica, and we're like underwater and you're doing stuff, and like occasionally something like terrifying happens, and especially like underwater, there's just so much like bass and like rumblings that just kind of like puts you just a little on edge, and like something will happen and it'll still like scare you, startle you as something with a lot of bass pops out. Would it sound better with the sub? Absolutely. And like you alluded to there, they specifically say when you add a sub, it is able to drop out the sub from the Arc, giving more room for the other frequencies so that you do have clearer dialogue and more precise spatial audio aspects, because they don't have to worry about doing the lower frequencies. So not only are you getting the bass, but you're getting everything else too. Yeah. I just can't see spending $750 on it. Spending $200 to $300 to get better bass and all that, 1,000,000%. Yes. I will do it today if it was released. I would buy it in a heartbeat. But I just cannot see spending $750, even with my Arc. The Arc was an expensive purchase to the kit, but it's phenomenal. and I love the spatial audio of it. Sometimes I'm still watching something, I'm like, was something over there? Like, you get that, you're like, not, wait, something happening?
Yeah.
It's cool, but
Yeah.
the price of the sub is too much. If I was really trying to go in and do like the rear speakers and the sub and everything together, maybe, and there are people who want like that, just the best overall experience, and they're adding, 2 1SLs to the back, and they're adding the sub for the top end Sonos system that you can do. But especially when it comes to the Beam and the Ray, it's really hard for me. I just can't do it even with the Arc. I just don't think the incredible bass is worth that much money for me.
I don't think, I mean, I have it, and I would say it's probably not. And I think whenever this couple $100 subwoofer comes out, I have a Beam in the bedroom. It sounds great. I think the Beam with the cheaper subwoofer is going to be the ultimate combo for most people. For most rooms, the Beam and the cheaper sub from Sonos, whenever it comes, is going to be like, you're going to love it. And so wait for that. Don't be like me and get the the big sub. I mean, again, it does sound good if you really want it. You have the funds, like, that was like the last piece of, actually, second to last piece of technology I wanted to get for the new house, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so it was that, and then the last piece, it's actually getting delivered today as we record, Andrew, is the Roborock Max V Ultra. It was in stock on Amazon for shipping, like I ordered a few days ago. So if you were looking for the ultimate robot vacuum, I know we've already talked about it, but I'm going to want to talk about it again because it comes today, and I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to talk about it on the next episode because I'm excited to try that thing out, and it vacuum and mop my floors for me. So anyway.
Nice. That's awesome.
Fun stuff. Well, that's been the show. Let us know if you're as worked up. Thank you. If you're as worked up about HomeKit Secure video as we are, please tweet at us. Andrew and I are. Our Twitter handles are in the show notes. And, of course, give us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. Love to give you a shout out there. And subscribe on YouTube.